Ladies and gentlemen, our fourth session will openly discuss women as co-creators, rising above turbulence and uncertainties. Leading this 75-minute session are five phenomenal women across ASEAN, moderated by Ms. Sylvia Nguyen, the CEO of Alphanam Group and the co-chair of ASEAN Young Women Entrepreneurs Club, Vietnam. I pass the floor to you, Sylvia.
Thank you, Aspa. Hello, everyone. My name is Sylvia from Vietnam, and it is such a pleasure to be your host today, joined by a wonderful panel of amazing speakers. We have Ms. Lian, co-founder of She Loves Tech Singapore, Ms. Maddie, founder of Plus Vibes Malaysia, Ms. Tida from Thong Enterprise, and Dr. May from Myanmar. The context of our session today is to collectively discuss how women are increasingly playing a significant role in national and regional development. However, these accomplishments have not been without challenges and boldly breaking the glass ceiling. The Global Entrepreneurship Monitor, GEM, reports that there are 61.3 million women across ASEAN countries who own and operate businesses, nearly 10% of the ASEAN population. However, a majority of our women in the region operate businesses in most disadvantaged sectors, predominantly in agriculture, and even those specializing in industry or services tend to concentrate on a limited number of activities. So the reality is that women-owned businesses often face more challenges and have less opportunities for expansion compared to male-led enterprise. They're also less resilient to the impact of adverse economic shocks, including COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, we would like to have a discussion that reflects both the progress of women in the region and also discuss what remains to be addressed proactively for women to be able to truly become co-creators and partners to development. Firstly, I would like to introduce to you our speakers and get to know them. Ms. Tida from Cambodia. Ms. Tida is passionate about creating the new model of business. Her aim is to deliver the treasure of Cambodia to the world, enhance the life of farmers in her Kampot hometown, and to be the model of sustainable farming and successful SME for Cambodia. Succeeding to the 30-year flourishing family salt farm, in 2017, she started the new B2C salt brand for the first time in the salt farm history in Cambodia, challenging business model for more sustainable, especially to contribute back to farmers and community as her roots. Thank you, Tida, for joining us today. First of all, in your own words, could you please give us quick insights into your leadership role and how this topic, women as co-creator, is so relevant to you?
Well, thank you so much, Sylvia, for having me today as well. And thank you for being the first person to share something a little bit more about insightfully information, what we are doing as a woman, especially as a decision maker or leaders in our business itself. So as Sylvia is mentioned earlier, I'm running a business, but it's more like it's not a family business anymore. We're stemming from a family business that we trying to integrate a new business model that is more sustainability. So it is more into cooperating with the new generation and the other generation together and create a new opportunity. So this a new different model of business itself. So being a woman, being a young entrepreneur in Cambodia as well, we're trying to see how it works and we're trying to see how it works and trying to put our leadership style into our new structure because we're converting our model into new structures of business. It's not like a business family business anymore. So trying to be creative, putting innovation, putting a lot of creativity into that. So and especially leadership styles, and then empowerment for the other women as well, and also open the door for the other opportunities to the other women, especially the other people as well around the Asian country or around the country in Cambodia. So this is how we are trying to do for our insightful business over here. Yeah.
Thank you, Theda. I'm sure that creativity and innovation open the doors to many industries, just not just in the salt farm business. And with that, I would like to introduce our second speaker, Leanne. Leanne is the co-founder of She Loves Tech, the world's largest startup competition and accelerator program for women-led and women impact tech startup, now operating in over 50 countries. She Loves Tech is committed to building an ecosystem for technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation that creates opportunity for women and closes the gender gap in startup funding. Since its founding in 2015, now more than 8,000 startups have joined and have gone on to raise more than 250 million US dollar. Leanne, thank you for joining us today. I know it's been a very busy few weeks. Could you share a little bit about your work and how it's relevant to the topic today?
Thank you so much, Sylvia. What a pleasure to be here with everyone. I think that you've done a wonderful introduction and covered many things. But She Loves Tech, really, our whole entire mission is to help to close the gap for women in technology, especially in the entrepreneurship space. And so we did that by 4 different ways and 4 different verticals. And 2 Sylvia has mentioned, which is we run the world's largest startup competition for women in technology. And what we found when we were doing that, this is our 7th year, and next year will be our 8th year running it, was that, the women that were coming through our doors, that they wanted more than just a global stage to pitch. They wanted, really a community support, but also education to help to overcome some of the unique challenges that women entrepreneurs face. And so we created then our accelerator program to be able to help these women to overcome some of these challenges and to be able to be successful in building a career in technology, and also a career in, building great successful businesses. So the third thing that we found as well was that the funding gap was a huge one. Globally, 2.2% of total venture capital funding goes to women entrepreneurs. And when we look at Southeast Asia, actually, that number is even worse. Only 0.9% of total VC funding goes to only women-led businesses. And so we knew that women were building amazing businesses, amazing technologies. We saw that through the thousands of people that are coming through our doors. And so we said, you know what, we really want to be able to close that gap for funding for women. So the third thing that we started was our She Loves Tech Fund, which we have just announced together with Microsoft that we are going to be unlocking $1 billion for women entrepreneurs in funding across Asia. And we're so excited. We just announced it last week, so I'm so excited. You guys are one of the first to be able to hear this news. And, it really is about a partnership, because we know that She Loves Tech, that we can't do this alone. We need great partners like Microsoft to be able to accelerate many of the things that we want to do. And then the fourth thing really comes, we run the flagship conference in Asia for women in technology. And we are actually gearing up to our global summit that's happening on 3rd and 4th of December. And I would love to give everybody a free ticket to this event. And I'll work together with the organizers to make sure that everybody has a free ticket. But this is where you're going to hear from some of our renowned speakers, right? Reid Hoffman, who's the founder of LinkedIn, Maria Ressa, she is the Nobel Peace Prize winner of 2021. You're going to hear from people like Esther Wojcicki, who is the mother of Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube, and Anne Wojcicki, the founder of 23andMe. You're going to hear from people like Kane and Kelly Mee, you know, who were the stars of Bling Empire, and you're going to hear from the Chief Diversity Officer of Microsoft globally. And so it's going to be really exciting. And what we really want to do is to provide content, raw conversations to talk about those challenges, to talk about, you know, how they themselves were faced certain challenges and how they overcame it. So we're just so excited to build this ecosystem that She Loves Tech is doing together with many partners around the world. So really happy to be here. Thank you so much, Sylvia.
Thank you, Leanne. What an amazing platform. We're very excited to introduce also perhaps the conference and everything you're doing with AYWEC as well. And on the topic of education, I want to introduce our next speaker, Dr. May from Matrix Institute, Myanmar. Dr. May is very passionate about work and study and continuing education, especially for students, entrepreneurs, and startup as well. Could you share a little bit about Matrix Institute and your work, Dr. May?
Hi, good morning, Sylvia, and all the speakers, and especially Leanne. Like, I'm so excited to hear about your works, initiative, and activities. So excited. And I also would like to share my thoughts and insights in the context of women entrepreneurs and also working professionals. So this is Dr. May from Myanmar, but I'm a medical doctor, but who is not practicing anymore, and currently working for my parents' company, which is Agriculture Export Import Company, and also I founded Matrix Institute of Professional, which is a professional education center and a financial consulting firm for the students, working professional, and startups and SME owners. So as a second generation of family business and also a startup woman entrepreneur in Myanmar, I have been experiencing many challenges, such as like access to finance, access to technology, access to network and market information, and operating challenges, etc., etc. Among all these limitations, like throughout the period, working with my family business and also working for Myanmar Young Entrepreneur Association and other development projects, I found that the key crucial factor is the literacy, especially financial literacy is very important for our country development. So the financial literacy and financial inclusiveness for women, young, like the youths and also SME is very important and very left behind compared to other ASEAN countries. So I started focus on that kind of area in my country, and I founded the Professional Education Center, which is a focus on the continuing education of especially on the finance. So like we provide not only the postgrad degrees, but also the professional designation programs who can learn and work at the same time. So we have the flexible hour programs, short programs, long programs. It depends on the program you choose. In addition to that, like we also work together with some of the private organizations such as like banking and also some of the ministries. So as Leanne mentioned, the partnership is very important and crucial for us as well to reach and grow together. So like we also work together and reach out to every regional cities to deliver the financial literacy class and also awareness, and also we provide the financial consultation service as well at an affordable price. So that's what I'm currently focusing. And in the future, we also would like to cover not only in country, but also ASEAN regional as well. So I'm so excited to meet you guys here, and also excited to see our future collaborative opportunities as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. May. Through your sharing, I could already see a common thread. I can hear that everyone here, are wonderful women with a lot on their shoulders, and a lot of roles and responsibilities for you between your family business and also, running the Maastricht Institute. And this is something that comes out of your passion. And I can see that everyone is very passionate about giving back to the society and elevating and using your talent to elevate everyone around you. And this is also a common thread with our fourth speaker as well, which was very interesting because everything that we do, right, especially when we want to achieve so much and give so much back to the community, the first thing we have to have is mental health for ourselves. We have to take care of ourselves first. And in the quick call that I had with Leanne before this, we were also just talking about the topic of potential burnout. If you're not careful when you are working so much and trying to do so much for other people. Maddie, we have not met in real life, but I'm very excited to meet you here. And I want to learn all about Plus Vibes and how you have been using Plus Vibe as a mental health solution provider to help women and entrepreneurs in general, especially throughout the last 2 years.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. It's an honor to be part of this program. Just a little bit about myself. Yes, I did go through a big share of pain and struggles. I've been an entrepreneur since I was 24 years old, actually. So about 8 years now. And on top of taking all that, my first business was actually a food truck. Remember when there was the whole food truck craze? Yes, I was one of them. So I ventured into that. But then again, I was also doing my MBA. So I was also taking on that study workload. And then from that, I was thinking, wait a minute, I wanted to pitch my idea for a PhD. So tried out a PhD, and I got 100% scholarship on that. But I was still working during that time because I still wanted to run my own business. But then I really struggled. And I think that's the thing that a lot of people face when you're taking on more than you can chew. But then who is there to support you, right? It actually resulted in a nerve damage for me where I had to stop everything. And that's when I realized that, yes, you can actually work, you can do your own business, but you really have to take care of yourself, your own mental health, your own physical health. All of that actually determines whether you can be successful, whether you can be happy. So that's where we developed Plus Vibes. Plus Vibes really focuses on mental health in general and how we want to support youth, especially who are going to be the next future generation. They're going to be the workforce. And what we see right now is really high suicide cases. And the main reason is because there's this whole culture, not just in ASEAN, not just in Asia, but globally, where people don't open up, where people don't share their problems. So they just keep on holding it in. They keep on holding it in until you reach that stage where you commit suicide, you have domestic abuse, you have all these kind of things. So in Plus Vibes, what we've seen through our mobile application, we collect data from that in order to create workshops so that we can help people. A lot of them are women. And the women who have left really bad abusive relationships, they've lost their jobs, they want to support themselves, so they want to start up their own company, they want to be entrepreneurs, but then they don't have that confidence, that mental resilience, and that's where we try to motivate them. That's where we try to do these talks, we provide that 24/7 chat support so that, they don't feel like they're alone. And that's a little bit about myself, why I chose mental health, why Plus Vibes.
Thank you, Maddie. Can you imagine, if after this session we can start collaborating, in between mental health help with financial help and also technology help, we can really, help to put a full package of solutions together for women across ASEAN. Back to Tida, I was very inspired by your story in a sense that it also deeply relates to me as a second generation in the family business, stepping into a considerably traditional business like salt farming. How do you switch between, your traditional family business and also then opening on to B2C and then adding on the sustainable approach, to your business? How has your leadership journey changed, throughout all of this? And has anything shifted for you as a leader and an entrepreneur?
Well, thank you so much, Sylvia, for the questions again. So just to reconfirm again, I am the third generation, not second generation. So this is the third generation for me for stamping from this kind of business. Well, it's always have the challenges when you are stamping something, when you are restructure something, that what we can see just like from a traditional family business to another new structures as a social enterprise, because we more into social enterprise to support more into our community. So it's the thing just like you had to apply more, to implement more on your leadership style, more than the business mindset itself, like to think more about benefits. So this is what I can share over here. And the idea just like you have to adapt into a new way of doing business, because people are talking about industry 4.0, about tech, about innovations, about AI. So we have to deploy every technology. We have to integrate those kind of innovation technology to adapt into our new business model, and also to compromise. What I can say is to compromise between generation into the generation, because you have to understand that one generation, like my parent generation, is a generation X, and then my generation is a generation Y. So we had to compromise all the mindset, which is totally different. Somehow we have to try to understand each other more on how we can cooperate together. We don't want to lose someone. We don't want to put everyone behind, but we have to have the cooperation, because we are the co-creators. We just want to make something new. We just want to make something better for our world to live together, and then have each other backs and that. So this is how we can apply into our leadership. We also have our design our culture that we want to live, we want to work together as well. Like maybe in our Asian, we want to create our new culture, not really a new, but a culture that we want to work together across the country, between Cambodia, maybe Singapore, maybe Malaysia, maybe Vietnam or Myanmar. This is how we want to create. But in our company itself, in our enterprise itself, we also create a new culture that everyone, between generation to generation, between people to people, and the teams can work together, along together as well. So this is how, as a leader, as the founder, as a woman itself, that we want to create into that. So yeah, this is our side that I can share.
That's amazing. In your answer, I hear a lot of inclusivity, and you show us that inclusivity is important, not just as a whole in organizations, but even as a family business, in companies, and also in society, right? We always try to make sure that everyone's voices are heard, and there has to be awareness of everyone's struggles as well when we create opportunities for the future. Following this, I wanted to also touch base with Dr. May, because I know that you're calling in from Myanmar. Myanmar has really been, in the spotlight, not just because of the pandemic, but also the political turmoil that's happening there. And when we look forward to the future, we cannot neglect, all the challenges that comes with the present moment. Could you share with us some light about what's happening in Myanmar, and how you see the progress, for women in ASEAN, or Myanmar in particular, has been shifted from your perspective, and what are the challenges that we continue to face?
So if I have to discuss on this topic, I would discuss in two different parts, like before the COVID and the current situation, and during and after. So like before the situations starting in like last year, like before COVID situation, I would say I would admit that the progress has been there. Since I have joined the business, and I have joined my family business like back in 2015, so there were very few women entrepreneurs. I wouldn't say women business owners, but I would say women entrepreneurs. Very few women entrepreneurs out there. And I started joining also Myanmar Young Entrepreneurs Association as well, where I learned a lot about the entrepreneurs ecosystem and those kind of things. And I was inspiring for my seniors as well. So comparing to that period and before COVID period, there are a lot of improving situation of inclusiveness of the women business initiative activities. So like, for example, we also consider the woman percentage in our voting seat of the association as well. And also some of the success stories and some of the role models of women entrepreneurs have been occurring a lot. So there are young women out there who also being motivated about that success story and role model. So I see a lot of improving happening. But when we have been facing the COVID situation and current political situation, there are many distraction occurs out there. So you might be facing the same like us as well, because like COVID pandemic has been impacting the whole world. So I wouldn't focus on the disruptive situation, but I would like to focus on the women disruptive situation, that some distant challenges. You know, like being a working woman and being a women entrepreneurs, you have to be really careful, not only for work, but also for life balance. So work-life balance is very important. And also, you know, we have been facing many challenges while you are working at the same time, while you have to taking care of your family health as well. So you have to taking care for elderly, children, health. At the same time, you have to taking care for your own health and safety and work life. So this one is very challenging for us. And you can also aware that like in Myanmar, because of the COVID wave, like we have been facing first, second, and third wave, and the healthcare system has been breaking down. And you know, like there are a lot of women-related issues and women-related health issue has been neglected. Even some of the pregnant women are facing difficulties to get birth at the hospital. So there are a lot of challenges out there, and I would say those kind of difficulties and challenges we are facing, and we are overcoming that kind of things with the perseverance and resilience, and also working together with not only with the, you know, the government hospital, but also we each other taking care as a private association, as a private company, as a private person as well. So in this meantime, there are many challenges, but those challenges and kind of like difficulties we have overcome with perseverance and resilience. So that's what I'm currently facing right now.
Thank you, Dr. May. I think that, you know, it is so important to hear all of this because, you know, I'm a deep believer that in order to change anything, you have to be aware of all the issues first. You know, that and also having a community to understand how you can learn from each other and understand exactly what are the things that you can co-create and co-change as well. Maddie, I was wondering if you could also, in your work, you must meet so many entrepreneurs, men and women. What do you think are the perceived perceptions about women by women or society in general that needs to change in order for us to truly progress?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is undeniably a man's world. I would say that, and I think a lot of people agree. When you go into, whether it's a corporate company, whether you go into the entrepreneur field, you will see more males. Not to say there aren't any females, there are nowadays, but you would see more males. And in order for you to secure contracts or jobs or partner or network, again, you would have to do it with also males. I think for me, one of the main struggles that I had, especially because of COVID, was that everyone was in lockdown. What happens when you're in lockdown? the opportunity for you to network becomes very, very limited. So when you're starting a new industry, that time I needed to look for marketing agencies, I need to look for developers, everything was starting from scratch when I started Plus Fives. How was I supposed to look for these kind of partners or people who could help me? And again, I had to reach out to some of my male friends. Reason why is because they were more experienced. They built that network. They built that circle. Generally for women, I mean, in Malaysia, there isn't really an entrepreneur circle. I mean, you would have a lot. There's a specific industry like cosmetics, there's a lot. In terms of beauty, that kind of line, there is a lot. But in terms of tech, I mean, I think Leanne would also know, in terms of tech, very limited in terms of women. So what was I supposed to do? How was I supposed to reach out to people and partner with them and start up a tech company, a mobile app, right? Especially in mental health. So it's like a bridge. Mental health and then tech. Are there actually male in that industry? So I was thinking, like, who do I partner with? And then it was during COVID. So I really, my main source, I went to LinkedIn. I looked for those people. Honestly, I partnered with a lot of males. That was a limitation there. So I wish moving forward that there would be more females who are willing to go into tech, more females who are willing to become entrepreneurs in different industries. Not just in the, I don't want to say like typical, but more female-oriented businesses focusing for women, you know? So focus on different industries that can target both men and women, right? So again, mental health, although you would think that it's actually a women-focused industries, it's not. A lot of males suffer from mental health too, but they just don't open up. The thing about mental health is that people always keep it inside. So you don't really know how big that industry or market is, you know? So in terms of like what I struggled, that was it. It was networking, how to tap into an industry that there's not many women entrepreneurs. And I think for me, what I had to try to do was try to be creative and try to make that kind of connections. I couldn't really be picky on who I wanted to partner with. I had to partner with people who are already there. And generally they were male. To say that it was easy, it wasn't. I really had to prove myself. I had to plan. I had to really show that I was credible. I knew what I was doing. I wasn't going to waste that time. You know, the benchmark was just so high for me to be able to reach. And I had to prove that. And then they'll be like, okay, actually, like, yeah, let's try to partner with you. Let's try to see how we can work things out. Because generally when you think about a female entrepreneur in tech, they'd be like, does she even know what she's doing? You know, that kind of perception. So I wanted to really spur away from that. And I really had to raise the benchmark and really prove myself. And that was the most difficult part for me.
Thank you, Maddie. Earlier, I remember I was chatting with Dr. May about how actually as women, there are all sorts of difficulties that you face. You know, first of all, in your case, is networking. I mean, this is obviously not a blame party, but you know, at the same time, I feel like also there are a lot of barriers where women, you know, hinder themselves from actual growth. You know, they don't try to take continued education because they cannot balance between continued education and home life and work. You know, so that's the reason why there are many organizations, like for example, Matrix Institute out there to help support all of this. And I'm sure in Leanne's position as well, I mean, you must see so many startup founders from all ages and all walks of life that face the same challenges, right? I mean, it's not just networking, but how do you spend your time wisely, and how do you, you know, how do you network? How do you continue your professional life without sacrificing your personal life, right? So not all of us have very supportive community and companies. I wanted to ask the next question to Leanne. You know, in terms of support, I mean, you're helping 8,000 startup. So, you know, in short sentences that you can share to our audience today, how can we support women to rise above whatever we're doing now to achieve even more success, you think?
Oh, so many great points here. You know, as I'm listening, I'm also taking down notes, but there's so many things that I agree with what my panelists have said. You know, firstly, let's call it out. I know that Maddie didn't really call it. I'm gonna tell you a personal story. When we started She Loves Tech, you know, back in the day, and I was always, I had started my career in a big German engineering conglomerate. I had built multiple tech businesses, and I was advising a lot of companies at the early stages of She Loves Tech. I was advising a lot of companies, whether it was female-led or male-led, and in the realms of blockchain, fintech, AI, big data, and whenever I would go to a networking event, like what Maddie had said, it was predominantly male. And I used to get comments from very notable male investors, and, being like, oh, look, Leanne, you're the only female. And they would add, it's because women don't like technology and they don't build good tech businesses, and the extent of technology that they like is beauty and fashion, and they would build e-commerce solutions. And I said, no. At She Loves Tech, we're seeing so much more than that. We're really seeing women building all kinds of verticals. If you look at She Loves Tech startups, we don't actually do that much consumer technology. We're doing really technology, and we have 9 different verticals that we really focus on. And it is core technologies, deep tech, right? It's mid tech, it's agri tech, and the first thing I want to say is that no, women are not limited, right, to a specific vertical that is so-called more women, right? And have, for example, women consumers, they are actually building technologies that span throughout, and they're building really good groundbreaking technologies. Why are they building good breaking technologies? It is because of what many of my panelists, and Sylvia, you said as well, which is that, women, they want to give back to society. They want to make the world a better place. And we're seeing that constantly with our startups, that the kind of companies that these women are building are beyond themselves, right? And so, this causes them to really look at what is that problem, that big problem in their economy, what is that big problem in their society, and saying, okay, let's be able to solve that problem. So the first thing, that I want to say, how to, Sylvia, addressing your question, how do we support? Firstly, let's take away a lot of our biases of what we think women can and cannot do, right? And, to be able to say, hey, let's really support a system that it is inclusive, right? And let's not put, our own personal biases on these women and think that they are not able to build, these groundbreaking or technologies that can scale. And then the second thing is, how do we provide them that support, right, for the women who are in technology? And it is, through firstly, of course, through organizations via She Loves Tech and there's so many other great organizations that's really focused on helping women succeed, right? And who have a great mission. And also, one of the great things I see changing as well is that the pre-pandemic, investors they didn't really look at technologies that was so-called deemed socially good. They thought that, okay, this is a nice to have, but it's not must have. But then what we realized is that during the pandemic, it really brought to life a lot of the gaps that our societies were facing. And so now some of these things that were socially good are now essential and urgent, right? And so, really be able to look at if you are an investor, look at it in more long term, because actually women build more long term businesses. They don't look at the short term vision of just numbers. They look at how we can make this place and this world a better place. And so really look, when you are starting to invest, look at it in more long term, and that will really help to provide that level of support to women. And the last one is, what Maddie was talking about. I love that, one of the things that has talking about essential and urgent is mental health, right? And one of the things that I really would urge, because many people are facing this alone, men and women, and women tend to juggle, as my panelists have said, many different things in their life. The one piece of advice that I would give to women entrepreneurs or women in general who are watching this is, I heard this great analogy from my friend, And she talks about the glass balls and the rubber balls. You know, as we're juggling so many things, identify what are the rubber balls in your life that when you drop will bounce back. But also identify what are the glass balls in your life that when you do drop, that they will break and you can't reverse that break. So for example, for me, and I shared with Sylvia earlier, it was my health, right? Whether it's my mental health or my physical health. And once I dropped that, it was really, really, really hard to retrieve that. So yes, we are juggling many things. We will drop things, but some things we can drop and some things, you know, we can't drop as much. So I hope that answered your question, Sylvia, a lot. I was very excited about a lot of the things that the panelists were saying.
Same here, Leanne. I think that analogy leaves us with a lot of things to think about. I definitely will pull out my legal notepad and start noting down rubber balls from after this session. I'm sure that we have a lot of questions from our audience. May I bring our facilitator to help us to address some of them? Iza, Fali?
Hello, Miss Sylvia and everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me in. We do have 2 questions so far from the floor. So one is, I think is open for everyone to answer it. So how did it feel to be like for being a woman leader in terms of breaking the ceiling to empower the woman leadership, especially working in all male dominated industry? Second, perhaps this can, Ms. Leanne can answer this in terms of digitalization. How has this pandemic changed the digitalization? Is it a catalyst or the opposite effect? Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Isa. So the second question is clear. Back to the first question, where I think all of us should answer, because every one of us has very different motives and inspiration to why we do what we do, right? And I think it would be very interesting to share with our audience why is it important for us to be that change agent, you know, in our community, in our country, to help other women rise as well. First, may I start with Maddie?
Well, definitely, it is important, and I wish there is going to be so many other women who will see women inspiring, women empowering other women to start up their own business, and they'll feel like, hey, wait a minute, if that person can do it, considering their whole background. I mean, I love talking about my experience because my experience was completely, I graduated in journalism, mass comm, so something completely different to entrepreneurship. And then I did my food truck. So for me, when I share that, I'm saying that anyone can start a business. It doesn't matter. What you have to find is just your passion, something that it doesn't mean you have to have that background. You really have to have that kind of initiative to learn, wanting to know about mental health, wanting to partner with people, understanding that you can't do it alone. It has to be a teamwork thing. You have to always be motivated to partner with people, talk about it, make new friends, network. For me, that's the most important thing. I mean, I get a lot of messages from young ladies who are like, I want to be like you. And for me, I have a good night's sleep no matter what I went through the day, the struggles, the challenges, trying to grow the company. At the end, when you have people look up to you and be like, hey, one day, I really want to be like you. I want to start my own company. And then I would go on and send a whole long message about, okay, you can do this, this. Why? Because that form of just empowering one person, who knows, they will then pass it on. They will pass it on to another person and another person. And that's how we actually grow that community of women entrepreneurs. It's by inspiring just the people around you, and then really making them inspire other people, making them believe. Because I think that's something that's really lost in the world today. It's that belief, that hope, that kind of perception that if you're in this kind of business or industry, that's the only place that you can be, or that if you don't have the educational background, you're stuck there. In this day and age, in this era, no one is ever stuck. You always can learn everything from the internet. It's a matter of if you want to, it's a matter of if you want to partner with people. That's the thing that I really want to share, that actually you can do anything. It's like a blank piece of paper, just write down whatever you want to achieve and then plan your way. How am I going to achieve this? Who do I need to partner with? What kind of knowledge or background do I need to have? And that's the best part about it. So start by inspiring one person that's the closest to you or a random stranger, and then they will start building that. It's like building a whole like domino effect. You inspire one person and they'll keep on inspiring other people. And that's the best part about it.
Thank you. I think one of the things you talk about is the desire to learn, right? To grow ourselves through the progress. Dr. May, how does it feel to be the person providing solutions for so many people that want to succeed and learn?
Yeah, I've been learning throughout the discussion as well. So like as a woman entrepreneur, like I also would like to share my stories and experience. Like there are many challenges and drawbacks throughout my working life as well. And also as a woman entrepreneur, you sometimes have to kind of like give up some of your priorities, give up some of your work life for some of your priorities. As Leanne mentioned, like they are rubber balls and glass balls. So we have to balance those two balls to be juggling all of them above. So what I want to focus is like, as long as you don't give up, as long as like you are perseverance, like you will reach your goal one day. So sometimes you might face some downtime and some kind of drawbacks, and who knows? So no one can be very successful in every part of your working life. So you must have that kind of perseverance, and also the kind of learning, keep learning, don't stop learning. That is also very important. That's why I focus on that continuing education, and that is very important and the crucial part for Myanmar people and also women entrepreneur as well. So what really matter is the leading style and also your personality and your personal attitude. So the pitfall is sometimes you really focus on managerial activities, as I myself sometimes really focus on operational activities, and sometimes we miss out the strategic level. So that one also I would like to focus, like you must have the balance between the strategic level and also the managerial operational level as well. In that sense, you should have a good business partner, you should have a good and great team as well. That's what I learned throughout my working life. You cannot reach your goal with you alone. You will you will only reach your goal with your great team, working team, and also with your great partners. So those kind of partnership and building the great team is also very, very, very important for the working life. That's what I miss at the very early stage of my business life. So I learned those kind of work-life balance, and also building the great teams, and also having a good partnerships is very crucial throughout my working life and throughout my COVID period as well. And additionally, the digitalization that we cannot forget. The digitalization also not only brought us a lot of good things, but also it minimized the gap between the inequality between males and female as well. So like, although there are very few women out there in the tech business, but I believe that the technology and digitalization can bring us the equality between male and female business owners and male and female entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Dr. May, for your sharing. Something I wanted to share with all entrepreneurs out there, men and women, is that if you listen to our speakers, you can hear that, obviously they have to juggle so much, right, with between the glass ball and the rubber ball and all of that. I mean, it may sound like a lot, but you're not doing it alone. And that is a very important thing to remember. By sitting in the hot chair and doing all these difficult things, you get to meet amazing people, and you get to have so much purpose in your life. And sometimes we have to remember that if we're on a path to do extraordinary things, we will encounter extraordinary problems. It just comes with the things that we sign up for, right? And don't worry, because we will find solutions along the way. And we have to be comfortable with dealing with the fact that the next step, I mean, especially after COVID, is not very clear. There isn't any pathways. And as people breaking glass ceilings and people who are, championing the causes that has not, been done before, we have to learn to be comfortable with that. And especially in, building a community of supporters for ourselves as well. I wanted to also ask for Tida's comments. How does it feel to be a woman in charge, a woman in change, and a woman inspiring the next generation of entrepreneurs in Cambodia?
Well, thank you so much. I think being entrepreneur itself, I think maybe we are the lady, we are women, we face the same barriers. To think about our dreams and our daily barriers as a woman, maybe work-life balance, families, and then business. So we had to balance all the time. But being one, you come into one of the creators, you want to change the world, a better world that you want to live in. So you had to switch your mind. You had to switch your perception, how you want to go, how you want to build together for that. So I would like to add a little bit on what Len mentioned earlier about how women normally they don't want to go as a farming, let's say agriculture part, because it's not really easy job. They're not more into cosmetics, fashion. It's more easier that most of the women is more focusing on that. And as Matt also mentions about how we can be entrepreneur, that we don't care about how we background look like, how we are coming from. Like mine, I coming from, my background is about law. It's not about food safety. It's about supply chain ecosystem. But now I become a farmer. I'm more into agriculture part, building supply chain ecosystem in Cambodia, building a new sustainable business model into the other people to see how, hey, we can make it happen. Maybe we can do better than that, and then maybe we can create a new opportunity for each other. And like I mentioned to the other people, like, if you are in a position of your own power or a privilege, keep the door open for the other people to follow as well. So this is how we want to see for a woman as a creators, and not just a woman, but maybe the other people is the same. Open the door for each other, just don't block each other. So this is how being a change, being a woman and being entrepreneurs, and then we want to share a lot for the other women thinking the same, especially changing perception, thinking about their new ways of doing business, and also supporting each other. And also one second that I just want to add up is about like supporting each other is very important. Like Matt said, physically and emotional is very important. So we have a lot of stress, we have a lot of barriers the same, and emotionally it's very important for us to take care. Otherwise we cannot do anything at all. And this is how we can do. We can sharing, we can ask people to take care of your health, emotional health more. This is,
Thank you, Tida. I hear in your story also, changing minds and perceptions, and it's very important to keep a certain level of flexibility in our work. Especially after COVID, and especially when it comes to digitalization as well, right? Coming to our last speaker, Leanne, you can address both questions at the same time. The first question would be, first of all, how does it feel to be a woman who is spending all of her waking hours, helping thousands of other women, achieving their dreams? And second of all, how has this digitalization changed post-COVID? Was it, an agent for change, or was it, it has to be changed because of COVID?
Thank you so much. Well, addressing the first one, how does it feel to be waking up, helping thousands of women? Actually, it feels amazing. But it took a long while to get here, right? For years, I mean, it was a very, very tough and arduous journey. And there have been so many years that honestly, I'm going to, say it, which is we felt like giving up, because, the journey for us was such a tough one. And as Sylvia had mentioned earlier, when you're doing extraordinary things, sometimes you also encounter extraordinary challenges as well. But, we kept pushing on. And the reason why we kept pushing on was because we knew that the world needed this. We knew that we needed to make a difference, because if we weren't doing it, who was? And so despite all of the challenges, we did. And for many years, even though that we really built and Sheila Step was growing, many people didn't understand what we were doing. They really felt that women were seen as charity, and investing in women was charity versus something that was economically good, right? And it took a really long time to educate, whether it was organizations or governments, a society, that this was not a nice to have, it was a must have. And it's only in the last 2 years or so that people have really understood this a little bit more. And Sylvia and I were part of the Obama Leader Program, and because of that, we got to spend this amazing time together with Mrs. Michelle Obama and President Barack Obama. And because we pushed on, we managed to be connected to other amazing change makers like Sylvia, right? And to be able to meet trailblazers like the Obamas, and we would not have been able to do that if we had given up, if we were not resilient. A lot of my panelists have talked about that resiliency, and if we were not self-compassionate. I think a lot of women are very hard on themselves, and I know I've been extremely hard on myself, and we need not be so hard on ourselves. We really need to be kinder to ourselves. We're kind to so many people. Please be kind to yourself, because just like the analogy, on an airplane, you need to put that oxygen mask on yourself before you can put that oxygen mask on a child or somebody else in need. Because if you pass out, there's not going to be that help for the other person. So self-compassion is really key to success. And then onto the topic of digitalization. I think Dr. May had mentioned this. Yes, it has been a catalyst, but it also has been a catalyst to kind of show us as well, or accelerate some of the inequalities that was also happening. And if we are not careful, right, it's going to continue to be able to drive us and divide us further. And the key thing is about inclusivity. And inclusivity is not, again, it's not charity, right? It's so important, because think about it. Think about an AI, right? If your input is biased. So for example, if you are building a product, right, a machine learning algorithm that is all coded and programmed by men, you know what's going to happen? Your output is also going to be biased. Your output is also going to be for men, right? And if you then build an algorithm that is more inclusive, right, that has input, right, from different voices, then your output as well is going to be able to cater to those differences. So we really need to have that inclusivity. But we also need to recognize that, yes, we have been able to progress. I mean, a lot of studies have shown that I think it's more than 10 years of digital transformation has happened in the last, 1.5 years during this pandemic. And that has been phenomenal. But it is, if you can have that digital centric mindset, that agility that some of my panelists talked about, that resiliency, right? We're going to be able to reap those benefits of that digitalization. But if you are basically taking the old ways of doing things, right, and then saying, oh, let's just put it online. Let's say if I have a mom and pop shop, right, and I say, oh, I'm just going to create a website for it. But if you don't know how to drive people to that website, right, how to drive customer, how to engage with people, and how to create that digital centric mindset, then your website's not going to go anywhere. So yes, it is a change of mindset, but more importantly, it is about how can we create that agility, right? And in people in general. Yeah. So I think there's a lot that we can talk about as a panel, but I'm going to stop there because I think that there is more questions coming.
Yeah, thank you, Leanne. I think some of your points really resonated with me as well. A lot of times when I go through difficult times, I also and when people ask, well, why do you do so much? How do you keep going? Sometimes I just have to answer, well, first of all, because the world needs it. Second of all, well, if not me, then who? I mean, not to sound self-promotional, but I think that each one of us, if you ever find a purpose or something that makes you feel like it makes the world a better place, and you are in the right position, or if you have the right will, to do something, then you should do something about it. Our next question from the facilitator is, how do you keep going when things get really super tough? Where do you find your strength? How do you keep the marathon going? I want to address this question to Theda and maybe one other speaker. If any of you guys want to pick this up, then just give me a comment in the chat. Theda, how do you keep going?
Well, I think we are the same human beings. Things get really tough sometimes that you feel like maybe, in entrepreneurial life, it's just like maybe I want to give up one day. So, but you still keep going all the time. But the question is, why you still keep going? Because it's really tough. Sometimes you think about like, I don't want to do it anymore. I just want to do anything else that's more comfortable. I just want to go back to comfort zone that is better than that. But the thing is, the question yourself, what you want to do, what is your purpose of life? So this is a question that keeps you going all the time for those kind of tough situations itself. And the other thing is about your persistence. Persistence is very important for you as an entrepreneur, as a human being, as a people, because you have to keep everything consistently, and then persistence, and then also self-motivation is very important for that. Remember, everything sometimes you have the outside powers or energies that will knock you down sometimes, but self-motivation is very important for you to keep you up all the time, to tell you why I have to wake up in the mornings and then doing those kind of jobs. So this is kind of the purpose and the kind of motivation yourself. And discipline is very important. Discipline on your outcome, discipline on your action, discipline on how you do your own work. This is very important. So keep it up all the time. So this is how I handle all those kind of super tough, and then believe yourself that every situation has their own solutions. Everything has own solutions. So remember that not every tough situation exists every time. So you probably find out one solution and respond to that is how it works. And then also this is how I keep the marathon all the time. It's about my purpose of life. It's about my self-motivation, disciplines, and of course, you have to take care of your mentally health as well. Like Matt said, we're women, not just a woman, but we are human beings. We have a lot of tough, we have a lot of pressure, responsibility to think about your life, your business, your works, and then your family. Sometimes you have a lot of kids, so you have to think about a lot of pressures on your side at the same time on your plate. So take care of your mental health first. This is very important for you to take care about that. Otherwise, you cannot do anything at all. Once you lose, once you have been knocked down, it's lost everything. So first take care of your mental health, and then have your own persistencies, self-motivation, and discipline. Yeah, this is how I keep doing all the time for my life and entrepreneurial life as well.
That's amazing. First of all, we always start and always go back to our why, right? Second of all, have discipline in understanding that success doesn't happen after even, I would say 1-2 days, but even 1 or 2 years, you have to just keep going. Third of all, always understand that there will be solutions. And it reminds me of a quote: we suffer more in our imagination than in reality. And this is something that reminds me of that. Well, on the topic of mental health, we go back to our mental health expert. Maddie, would you like to chime in?
Yeah, sure. I definitely agree with that quote. It's definitely, we tend to overthink certain situations, and we always tend to think, our subconscious mind will think about all the negative possibilities that could happen, when actually, in reality, it hasn't even happened yet. But for you guys, when you're thinking about how do you find motivation to move on, think of your life as a book, right? They're filled with blank pages. And in each chapter, it'll go up and down, up and down. But when you're at that lowest point, it's actually up to you, whether you want to change or whether you want to improve. The change can actually go both ways. It can be positive. You can change and become a cold, heartless person because of what happened to you, because of all the negative things that has happened. It could change you into that negative person. Or you could try to improve from that point of view. At that lowest point, you could try to think, okay, what am I actually supposed to learn here? What am I supposed to grow? Because in every single challenges that we have, we learn something. Whether it was a bad relationship, a bad business, a bad anything, you learn something. There was something that we perhaps weren't actually quite aware of, and we let it go, or we didn't pay too much attention to, and then it built up and it exploded. So again, in anything that you go through, remember that after that bad chapter, it's up to you to improve, and then you will slowly climb up, and that chapter will go up. If we always have high chapters and we keep having high chapters, it will become a norm, and you won't know what is happiness. You won't really know, like thinking like, oh, wait a minute, this is just another normal day for me. Everything's going well. So once you know suffering, once you know challenges, then only you would learn to appreciate when things do go your way. So think your life as a chapter.
Awesome. Thank you. We have about a few minutes left. Dr. May, would you like to say something?
Yeah, only a few points, like additional to the first like 4-5 points. Like I would like to add a bit of like, I think in my experience, I think it is okay to have a little break when you burn out in your business or in your personal life or everything. So I think it is okay to have a little break, so that you could have some reflection time. You could do some kind of works on reprioritize your priorities in life and also in working professional as well. So I think like appreciation on what you have is also very important, and optimism is also crucial, because like in my experience, like I really was so enthusiastic and very like a very goal-oriented person. Sometimes I really feel like I was burnout, and I cannot accept the failures. Although I face so many failures, like I don't want it at all. But like at this age, I realized that sometimes you need the failures to reach your current situation and to reach your goal. So to face that failure, it is okay to let go of some of your goals, and to let go some of your priority as well. So it is okay to have a break, and it is okay to like just let go of things to reach your real life goal.
Yeah.
So it's really matter that the health, the like psychological health, mental health, and also as Lian mentioned, your glass ball would be your health. So at this age, like you would need some kind of like reflection time, and some kind of, not only in a year, but also I would suggest like in a week, you must give some time for yourself.
Yeah.
To have a break, to have some reflection time. So that is also very crucial. And even though that would slow down your business, I think it is okay.
Thank you. Last few words. Leanne, let's end this on a high note. Where do you see women's role changing in the next 5 years?
Oh, I'm very optimistic about this. I think that there's so many great things to come. I think that one of the great things about the pandemic, we've always known that with our past type of work structures, it also prevented a lot of women from being able to rise up to the top, right? Because they were juggling so many things. And unfortunately, Asia, we still are very much focused on FaceTime in the office. So people think that when women are not in the office, that they're not working, which is untrue, because they're working after they put their kids to bed. They're working after, they settle the household. And so what has come for the pandemic is that, it has given us a bit of a clean slate, right? We've also restructured these kind of work structures so that it's more flexible, so that we're able to work from home more, and it's more accepted, right? And so, I'm very optimistic, but we all need to be on the same page, right? Because otherwise, we can slip back to the old ways and our old habits. But if we are focused on including women in society, including women in investment, including women, in your workforce, right? Then we are going to be able to see those roles for women really stepping up and being able to level that playing field a lot more. So yes, extremely excited, and it's been an honor to be on this panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. It has been such an inspiring and at the same time very comforting panel. I hope that we all learn a lot from each other, and I hope that you ladies will continue to support AYWEC and also come back for many future chats with our members as well. Over to you, MC.